This is a majority report by Steve Verhey, Sanders delegate from the 13th Legislative District in Central and Eastern Washington, and Mike Cassinelli, Sanders delegate from the 19th LD on the coast of Southwest Washington. The proposed amendment would add a new plank at line 801 of the Environment, Climate, and Sustainability pillar of the 2020 Washington State Democratic Party platform. This plank calls for a cost analysis of nuclear power compared to so-called carbon-free electricity, and the plank endeavors to provide a detailed cost analysis as justification, which suggests that perhaps detailed cost analysis is already available. But let's look at the calculation from another angle. Here's a graph showing load balancing for the Bonneville Power Administration for a typical pre-COVID winter week. The various curves are labeled. Notice that the Columbia Generating Station provides unvarying power of about 1,200 megawatts. The green curve shows mostly power from wind turbines. We have very little commercial solar in the Northwest. And the installed capacity of wind is about 3 times the output of the Columbia Generating Station. This wasn't a very windy week, but the graph does give an idea of how variable wind power is. The red curve at the bottom shows fossil-powered electricity, mostly produced from natural gas. Since we can't build any more dams and we can't rely on wind energy all the time, the Columbia Generating Station has to be compared with electricity from natural gas. Here's a picture of a natural gas electricity generating station where 5 workers died a few years ago. It's extremely unusual for workers to die in accidents at nuclear power plants, but fairly common at other types of generating facilities. And of course, natural gas comes from fracking these days. Elsewhere in this platform, there's a call to use the social cost of carbon in calculating the cost of transportation and energy projects. The current estimate for the social cost of carbon is about $50 per ton. So here's the calculation. According to the Department of Energy, about 0.92 pounds of carbon dioxide is produced for each kilowatt hour of natural gas electricity. If we multiply that by 1,000 to get the amount of carbon dioxide produced per megawatt hour, and that by 1,200 to get the amount of carbon dioxide produced by a natural gas replacement for the Columbia Generating Station, and then divide that by 2,200 pounds to get the number of tons of carbon dioxide, and then finally multiply that by $50 per ton, the social cost of carbon, we find that every hour that the Columbia Generating Station is operating saves $25,100 in terms of the social cost of carbon. That is, $25,100 would be the social cost of the carbon dioxide produced by a natural gas replacement for the Columbia Generating Station. If we multiply $25,100 per hour times 24 hours per day times 365 days per year, we get $220 million for the social cost of carbon for a natural gas replacement for the Columbia Generating Station. And that's just the social cost of carbon dioxide. It doesn't take into account any of the costs of the natural gas, which is produced by fracking all along the supply chain. Now, if we subtract the $190 million that the proposers of the amendment say is the excess cost of the Columbia Generating Station from the $220 million that is the social cost of replacing the Columbia Generating Station electricity with natural gas electricity, we find a $30 million savings based on the social cost of carbon. That's the annual number, about $30 million of savings. So we hope you'll join us in voting no on this amendment. Analyses of the cost of the Columbia Generating Station electricity are already available, and it's clear that the numbers favor nuclear energy in this case. Thank you.